Welcome everyone to another episode of Promptly Speaking, IBPAP Official Podcast, where we bring you the stories of success of the movers and shakers of the IT BPM industry. I'm your host, Jack Madrid, and today our guest is Mr. Marc Patrick, offshore growth industry expert and executive advisor to the NCC Group. Let's welcome him to the show. Hey Marc, it's good to see you and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much indeed.
Always fun to have you here in Manila. Some of our audience may not know who you are, Marc. So it would be good if you could share a little bit about your background and some of your professional experience as you started on this journey of yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. From a background perspective, from a professional side, I've spent 20, 25 years. Started off predominantly in banking, running small projects in the UK. Moved into global roles pretty quickly, and then moved through the consulting sphere as well. And always specialized in helping transform the way that organizations operate. So simplifying them, optimizing their processes, and then looking at ways to make them as efficient as possible. That led me on a journey through working through some large PE investments, and then really moving towards helping organizations grow in offshore locations, both financial services, insurance. I've done some telco work, and now I find myself in the cyberspace. So that's how I'm here today.
You're based in the UK. Is your focus on UK-based companies who want to offshore here in the Philippines?
Predominantly, yes. I mean, you say based in the UK. I have a house and a family in the UK. I think if you ask them, they would probably say that I'm not there enough, which is, a positive and a slight negative of my way of life. My focus is UK, European, and US businesses who are looking to simplify and then transition parts of their organization predominantly to the Philippines. Yeah.
So you operate as an advisor and consultant to these companies.
Yeah, absolutely. Advisor, consultant, but also someone who's willing to get their hands dirty. I've worked with some incredible businesses, including the current client that I have. Who are really committed to rebuilding their business in an amazing country like the Philippines.
So how did this present juncture in your journey, how did you land upon this? How did you decide to embark on this thing?
Really good question. I mean, I've lived in so many different countries, both pre-employment journey and post, and that gave me a great understanding, a great opportunity to understand different cultures, and that's really helped me along the business journey. I've lived in, obviously, the UK, I've lived in parts of Europe, including Germany, I've lived in the US, I've lived in Australia, I've lived in Hong Kong, I've spent a considerable amount of time in India as well. So, that journey from a professional perspective has helped me understand ways to operate within different cultures, how to support businesses on their journey within those different locations, and then enable them to be as successful as possible. Came to the Philippines, feels like a long, long time ago now, and have built a number of different businesses here. Obviously today I find myself with, probably one of the most incredible clients that I've had on that whole journey. A global cybersecurity business called NCC Group, who have very recently set their offices up in BGC.
I'm sure the audience would like to hear more about, NCC, and I'm going to ask you about that in a bit. But I just wanted to add that I was particularly proud of having NCC, of having taken part in their decision to move their first ever delivery center outside UK here in BGC. And I remember our first meeting at the PTIC office in London last June, where we met with Secretary Alfredo Pascual.
That's right.
That was that was sort of where this deal pretty much consummated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, my big personal commitment, and it's exactly the same for NCC's, is on empowerment. And the Philippines has given us such a wonderful opportunity to grow a sustainable business, a business that employs local capability, fantastic talent, and empowers its employees and its people to be the best versions of themselves personally, which is hugely important, but also to be, great employees and provide fantastic services for clients. So, I'm a huge advocate for doing business in the Philippines. I could list you 100 different things about why it's a fantastic place to do business. I feel very fortunate to be here.
Well, I'm really glad that you're saying this. In fact, that's my next question, Mark. Okay. How would you describe the Philippines' advantage?
A fantastic question. So I'll start with values. My personal belief is that doing business in the Philippines, you get to deal with people who have brilliant personal values. They are honest, they are hardworking, and they're very well educated. You think about the education system within the Philippines. You think about the fact that the curriculum is in English language from the age of 4, which I think is revolutionary, and obviously has really helped develop business in the Philippines. Full stop. You think about the cultural mindset of wanting to deliver outstanding levels of service, and it's those outstanding levels of service that I see on a day-to-day basis, and I'm lucky for that. I also think the education levels are fantastic, and I don't just mean from the tier 1 colleges and universities. You look at the brilliant capability coming out of the technical colleges, and the quality of skill sets that you see there. You look at the commitment to diversity and inclusion, which is so significant, and something that I hold very dear to my heart is building a diverse workforce that is sustainable towards the future. And the commitment of Filipino employees is very much towards wanting to upskill themselves, looking for further qualifications. And as somebody that therefore employs people on that journey, the results that you see and the quality of delivery that you see from Filipinos is absolutely outstanding.
Well, thank you for that, Mark. I'm sure the prospective investors who might be listening in learned a lot from how you articulated the Philippines' advantage. I take it then that our favorite investor, NCC, is very happy with the initial traction they've gained here in the Philippines.
Yeah, absolutely. NCC Group has a brilliant leadership structure with some outstanding individuals in there, but their slogan is people powered, tech enabled, and I think it's a great message. They empower their employees to deliver brilliant levels of service. Consequently, the client base sees great service offerings that enable their own businesses to be safe and secure in an environment which in current day is incredibly important, with a huge focus on technology. And for employees, that's really significant because it gives the employees, this is a global business, so it gives them phenomenal global opportunities, but it also gives them a sense of well-being. There's huge commitment to a number of different causes, both charitable and educational. That means that NCC Group as a client of mine has established themselves really sustainably within the Philippines.
Let's talk about talent, Mark. The Philippines has established itself as the contact center capital of the world. But here we have a UK cybersecurity solutions advisor setting up a delivery center in the heart of BGC. What other talent has NCC, as recommended by you, found here in the country?
Yeah, well, I think first is it's global. So we're talking cybersecurity and software resilience services, and the fact that they've chosen to launch a global delivery center in the Philippines is really, really significant. I think the fact is that you get great levels of technology talent, both from the universities and colleges, but also straight out of school. And occasionally I feel quite old when you see some of the younger generation.
I heard the average age is like what, 22?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you diversify and you build a bigger capability base within a business, that that age bracket and demographic could change a little. But I think the focus is on upcoming talent who are hungry and who are really, really committed to growing their own skills, learning their trade, and also getting qualifications with that. And I'm a personal huge believer in, when you employ a technology skill set base, you want to give that talent the best opportunity that they can have to develop themselves and give them qualifications as well. But outside the technology space, my personal experience, both now and in the past, is that, you've got incredible people in finance, you've got great marketing skills. You look at the social media capability in the country, it's absolutely phenomenal, really. And I just think that from an offshore location perspective, the talent here is absolutely superb.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
When I met with the senior management team of NCC, they echoed, your compliments on the quality of talent that they have managed to find here. And it's also good to see the amount of investment that NCC have put into developing the talent during the onboarding of your initial batches of employees. So, well done in championing the Philippines, Mark. Let's take our conversation to a more personal note. You've been in the country quite a number of times now. Your family thinks you actually live here. You said, what are some of the more interesting, destinations in the Philippines that you've found so far?
Yeah, I mean, look, I've been coming here for years, and sad as it sounds, I quite like working. Some people may think that's a bit unusual, but I'm very committed to my trade, so I don't often get the luxury of spending time outside of the corporate environment. That being said, I've obviously visited Boracay, where I've been a number of times, and obviously a phenomenal place. I think also as a British gentleman, a bit of sunshine doesn't go amiss. We're quite used to gloomy.
Well, you have a pretty nice stand right now, Mark.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, we're quite used to gloomy conditions, and the crystal clear waters, the blue skies, the white sands, and the incredible hospitality is something that I've enjoyed. I'm looking to visit a number of other islands in the future. Coron is one that will be, I think, on top of probably everybody's list, and certainly mine as well.
Any memorable moments, either here or elsewhere, living and working as an expatriate?
Good question. So, look, I've built businesses in Hong Kong, mainland China, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, obviously here, KL, a number of cities in India, Portugal, Poland. There may be a few others. So I've been lucky to travel. Most of my amazing memories also come with a significant level of risk, and by that I mean I've had a missed flight from Pune, where I've then had to get a 5-hour taxi overnight to Mumbai, where the driver fell asleep on the motorway and I had to do half the journey myself, which was quite an experience. I've had snake soup dinner in Hong Kong, which is a luxury but also an acquired taste. I've seen a few things in my time, probably some less repeatable than others, but yeah.
How about a personal anecdote that happened here in the Philippines?
Look, I've been lucky that the hospitality here is phenomenal. That being said, IIS end of event party was quite an occasion where everybody was relatively jolly, should we say? I particularly enjoyed that. It was a significant experience for me.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because the next International IT BPM Summit at IIS is happening on October 2nd and 3rd.
Brilliant.
And hopefully we get to see you again.
Hopefully.
At that upcoming event. Now, staying with the Philippines, have there been any unexpected challenges or surprises while adapting to living and working here in the country?
Yeah, let me break that down into two parts. So firstly, I'll talk about setting up businesses in the Philippines, and then obviously the living and working side. With every new location comes challenge, and I think the best way to get around that is the approach of honesty and consideration. It's not easy to set up businesses in the Philippines. I think we've known that. It's easier than it was, much easier, but there are still significant hurdles. And the key thing, and my focus has always been to do absolutely everything immaculately to ensure that when a business does land, that it can land sustainably. A lot of that really for me comes down to great partnerships. You need to have a number of great partnerships in the region to ensure that you're well advised, first and foremost, because there's no point coming here and thinking you know better, because ultimately as a foreigner you don't. So take great advice, build great trusted partnerships, and trusted partnerships are built over time. They're not handed over. They can't be force-fed. So I think a lot of that is be vulnerable yourself. Show your partners that you're looking for their advice and take that advice. And I think that's really always helped me on my journey, both here and in a number of other locations. So yeah, I think that's a big step. In terms of living, for me, a big one is embracing local culture. Throw yourself into whatever people offer. Often, certainly as a British man myself, I could be seen as maybe a bit stoic or traditional. I've been told to smile more by a number of people, which is something that I'm slowly getting used to. I think also you think of the events and the importance of the events. Think about the Christmas dances, the corporate dances. You would absolutely, in a million years, never do that in the UK. You would not have probably anyone, but certainly senior members of staff, up singing, dancing, and embracing. And it's so refreshing to see the fact that there's this cohesive, collective mindset from all walks of life, all different types of levels of employee, of really embracing what it means to be, to be in the Philippines and to be a Filipino as well. So I think throw yourself in right in the deep end, and you'll do pretty well.
Well, certainly, Mark. As you said, celebration is very much part of the fabric of being a Filipino, and talking about the Christmas season. We have the longest holiday season in the world. We started as early as September.
Maybe earlier.
So happy that you have enjoyed that part of our culture. Now, based on your experience so far, Mark, what do you foresee as the next evolution of setting up global business services here in the Philippines and in the years ahead?
Yeah. So I think the opportunity is endless, and I think that's a brilliant place to start. I think if you look at the Philippines versus the other competitor countries that you might have in terms of offshore capability, you've got your more traditional centers, such as India, for instance. But you then look at the progress of the Philippines, and I think it is almost unrivaled for a number of reasons I've discussed before, but also staff retention in the Philippines is a significant advantage over a number of other offshore locations. The cost and impact of staff retention is really, really significant for anybody who's looking to invest in an offshore location and being able to retain your staff. And it's not just about what you pay your staff. It's about a number of different things, and it's actually about opportunity, qualification. It's also about growth and that pathway for growth for employees to be able to track their careers and see where it's going. It's about global opportunity as well. And, for me working with NCC Group at the moment, that global opportunity is phenomenal because you have Filipinos who are getting the opportunity to travel to a number of different global locations. You have, UK, US and European employees who are spending time on secondment in the Philippines, and, they're transferring their skill sets. So that's phenomenal. I think outside of a pure cyberspace, you've got incredible opportunities in technology, both within traditional professional services, but also in a startup environment. There are phenomenal opportunities within the banking and financial services sector. It's based on my own experience. But you're also starting to see some of the slightly less traditional but more ambitious businesses moving here from, a social media and engagement perspective. And I think that in the Philippines, there's a real advantage to being a startup, whereas being a startup in some other offshore locations can be incredibly challenging because of stature and assumption and a lot of other things that make it really hard. Whereas in the Philippines, the cohesion, the partnership opportunities, the investment in technology, the infrastructure now that's really significant means that, my genuine belief is it doesn't matter if you're a 10-person startup or a 150,000-person global organization. I think there's equal opportunity for all in the Philippines, and that's, hugely encouraging.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Mark. Certainly the news about NCC was extremely well received, especially since, the Philippines doesn't have a very significant share of UK companies offshoring. Now, what would be your recommendations in order for us as a country and destination of IT BPM to attract more UK or even European countries to consider the Philippines? I think their first I guess location in mind when they think about this thing is India. But how do we get them to consider the Philippines?
Yeah, and look, to give this a mutual balance, I love India. I see Hyderabad as one of my spiritual homes. I've spent a lot of time there. I also quite like biryani, and obviously Hyderabad is the home of biryani, which helps. But I'm hugely passionate in the fact that India as a country is a phenomenal place. Hugely diverse, multicultural, and so I speak very highly of it. I think for the Philippines, the difficulty for anybody who is looking to move from UK, Europe, even US, but definitely UK and Europe is, have they got their house in order before they move? And what I mean by that is, to work with the Philippines, you need to have a global target operating model that enables you to be successful. You can't just go and try and build relationships and partnerships, hire a load of capability and expect it to work. That doesn't happen. So I think that anybody who would have come to the Philippines and not had a successful story would be because they maybe weren't ready for the move. Now, being ready doesn't need to take years and years or even months and months. It's considerations about, if doesn't matter the size of your organization, it's your dependencies on your systems and, are you prepared for that level of change? And are you committed to the change as well? And I think to get it right when you come here, for me, I'm a huge, huge believer in investing in local talent. The local talent is here. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've been to the universities. I've been to the schools. There is plenty of talent available. And I think if you were to go back 10 years, you would say the level of talent now, even versus then, is hugely increased and significant. So I think the key to being successful and growing effectively in country is use partnerships who really know what they're doing and who are experienced, and make sure that you're truly ready for that move so that when you make it, you're 100% committed to that move.
Excellent. Let's take this chat of ours to a different tact, Mark. I have prepared some rapid-fire questions for you. Are you ready?
Probably not. But
Yeah, well, here we go.
Right.
Just think of the first thing that comes to your mind, okay? What was the first Filipino word you ever learned?
Mabuhay. I actually teach my daughter, who is almost 6, some Tagalog words. yeah, Mabuhay was my first.
What did you dream about when you were growing up?
Wow. I think freedom. Not that I wasn't free, but I was so lucky to travel the world. My father was in the forces, and so we never really had a fixed abode. And, hugely privileged position, but the big thing for that was freedom. Freedom to be able to make great independent decisions, freedom to be able to experience cultures and different places. So, yeah, that would be my lasting dream.
Daredevil hobby that you've always wanted to try?
I'm actually quite, placid as a person, so I'm pretty scared of heights as well. So I guess if I was going to throw myself out of a plane, that would probably be the best place to start. Ideally with a parachute, but yeah, that'll be it.
Zodiac sign?
Cancer.
Oh, that's why we get along.
There you go.
Naughty or nice?
Nice, I think.
Okay. What's your biggest fantasy?
Do I have many?
Just one.
I mean, winning Wimbledon would be a good start.
Oh,
but I think
I
at
like
40,
that. How about the Open?
I think at 43 years old, I might be a touch past that. But then, failing that, I wouldn't mind a round at Augusta. I think both of those are fairly unattainable. So let's stick to
I'll join you for that one.
That'd be lovely.
What would be your motto or mantra in life?
For me, it's one word, and it's empathy. When I started out in my career, I was probably a bit blunt. Who knows? I may still be a bit blunt at times. But being empathetic, I think, has helped me learn so much about myself, but so much about the people I spend time with, especially when you're dealing with people from different cultures, different backgrounds. You have no idea what, and I'm a huge advocate for mental health. In fact, I'm writing a book on mental health. I say writing, I'm about halfway through, and I've got a bit of writer's block at the moment, probably because I'm not necessarily strictly a writer. But I think empathy is really significant because, understanding why people behave in certain ways, understanding why people have certain emotions or how they may react to different situations is really significant. So for me, it's empathetic at all times.
Okay, next. Philippine vacation destination that you want to visit in the future?
Well, I mentioned Coron, which I think is absolutely right up there. I've heard the diving's phenomenal, so that wouldn't be a bad start.
First friend in the Philippines?
Is it you? I don't.
Well, thank you if it was. Thank you.
I think you're probably not far off. I think I'll stick with you for that one.
What is the one thing you could tell the younger generation or kids that the IT BPM industry is cool?
It's cool.
Yeah.
A few things really. But the one main one would be is the global opportunities within the IT BPM industry are increasing, and the knowledge sharing is increasing. So the cool thing about that is, if you work really hard, if you listen more, and by that I mean listening to people who've got different experiences, you'll be able to take those when you go around the world yourself and actually share some of the wisdom that you've learned. So I think the cool thing about the IT BPM industry is the global opportunities that come from it.
Certainly, and that's something we very much believe in. It is much more than what many people believe it to be. So thank you for that. We're going to wrap up this very enjoyable conversation, Mark, but I do have a couple of more questions now. Sure. Just summarizing everything that you've shared, what would you think are the key ingredients, to being, to having a success story, here in, when you're building a business here in the Philippines? What are those foundations of success?
A few of them I mentioned already. Honesty, empathy. I think that Filipinos in general are willing to help people who are willing to I've mentioned showing their vulnerable side. If you open yourself up and you're absolutely honest and clear about what you want to achieve, and you listen to the advice that you're given, then you're far more likely to be successful. I think if you'd asked me that question 15 years ago, I would have been a bit more righteous and kind of a bit more right and proper about what I thought was the right path. And I think actually, having spent a lot of time here now, is if you truly, truly open up and tell people where you need help and ask for that help, then you will get it. So I think for that, and there are so many people here, so many organizations, so many individuals who are committed to helping investors and ask nothing in return. And that has been really refreshing, and it's really helped to grow businesses in the right way.
Thank you. Along the same vein, this is my last question. What words of advice would you give other foreign professionals or expats, who are considering moving to the Philippines, and what tips would you give them in navigating some of the ambiguities here in the business landscape? And lastly, this is a three-pronged question. What are some of the lifestyle, unique lifestyle opportunities that you might want them to consider?
Okay, let's finish with the lifestyle. So I feel you might call me out on something here. So I think the main thing is offer your time for free. So when I first came here years and years and years ago, and I've been doing the same thing since, is offer your time for free. Whether that is your knowledge of a specific subject, whether that is your knowledge of different countries, different cultures, new working practices, go and spend time with other organizations. There are great governing bodies here. Commit your time to those governing bodies. There are great associations. You could probably list hundreds, I'm sure. But whatever your specific trade is, go and invest your time for free. Not because you expect something back, but because you want to share your knowledge and your capability and skills. You will naturally build a better reputation for yourself by doing that. I think also, I don't see huge competition for specific types of businesses. I think they can mutually grow because I think the opportunities are so considerable. So you don't have to come into a marketplace, and this would be a very British thing traditionally, you don't need to come into a marketplace and prove that you are better or I don't believe that needs to be the case. I actually think the knowledge sharing, the experience in your working will put you in a better place. So, relationships are not built overnight. So if you're coming new, you need good advice. You need great partnerships that come with that, but you need trusted partnerships as well. People who are ingrained into the industry, very much like obviously everybody at IBPAP, but who are ingrained in the industry and committed to sustainable growth. And the sustainable piece is really important. And from the sustainable angle, what I mean is, if you're going to invest dollars or pounds or whichever currency it is, or euros, into building a business in the Philippines, you need to make sure that that investment is sustainable. So that's investing in your staff, investing in their wellness, both physical and mental, investing in great plans for their future growth, and putting that investment on the table up front and truly committing to that. You will get the returns, there's absolutely no doubt about that. It may not be overnight, but it will be pretty quick. But the key to those returns is, are they sustainable over a 3, 5, 10-year period of time? Because that's the real measure of success.
Lots of words of wisdom there, Mark, and certainly what I took away from that most of all was the point on trusted partners when you establish operations here in the Philippines. So this has been a really enlightening conversation as always, Mark, and thank you for taking the time to speak with me. I'm sure our audience enjoyed your insights, and I also wanted to thank you for being such a champion of the Philippines as an IT BPM destination, and allowing the IBPAP team to be your to be your voice and NCC's voice in setting up such an important delivery center here in the Philippines. It's been great, and I hope to see you, and let's play some golf pretty soon.
I would love to do that. Look, I just wanted to say I feel incredibly fortunate and incredibly privileged, both the time that you and IBPAP have put into supporting business growth within the Philippines. It wouldn't be possible without you, so thank you very much, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, much appreciated, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us to another episode of Promptly Speaking. We hope you enjoyed this session, and see you in the next episode.
That's information technology and business process management. We are coders and programmers, agile animators, illustrators, auditors, analysts, from consultants to managers, nurturing nurses and doctors, data developers and testers, VA smiling CXRs and artificial intelligence engineers. Oh wait, there's more. We are problem solvers and number crunchers. We speak in several languages, including Java, Python, Python, and so on. And on and on and we on. We create heroes and villains. We gain experience and level up in life.
We are the IT BPM industry, working with the Philippines. Join us.